Hey everyone, we're back for another great episode here of Heroes Manufactured Live, and this is our fourth episode. We do have some announcements today. We do have a special guest by the name of Riley Weber who will be on the show today. We're going to start with a few minutes here of just a quick update with regards to what we're doing here on Heroes Manufactured, both on the live show but also on our Facebook group and many of our other little aspects of Heroes Manufactured, whether it be the films and our brand. We are going to be releasing, I did mention this in our last episodes, we are releasing our new website soon for the Heroes Manufactured store and shop. It's called Heroes Vault. So I did want to give you guys a little bit of a quick clip of that and what it looks like. So that's Heroes Vault. We've been working on the website right now. It's going to be coming live probably within the next few weeks, up to about a month. Still a lot of back work that we're doing with it. And just to let you guys know a little bit about what we're doing with the Heroes Vault, a lot of the products that we're going to have on here is going to be featured on our shows moving forward. So instead of us having the old comic, the comic vault and toy vault, which we're still going to have the comic vault as a show with Joey P. This is just an example of some of the collections that we're going to have. So we're going to be selling apparel, home and art, toys, statues, and collectibles. Some Heroes extras. So you've got some clothing, apparel there from that as well. Some other Heroes gears, video games, and other deals that we're going to have as well from time to time with new releases and all that. Here's a quick peek of some of the Heroes gear that we have. So we're going to have some nice caps. I know we got some toques coming as well, mugs, and this is just kind of like the basics of it from what we've been putting together. So they're going to be a little bit more branded with some more artwork on them as well. It's not just going to be the logo, but definitely look forward to that. This is more just like some of the spec that we're doing. And this is some of the catalog that we're going to have. Just an example of some of the work, some of the products that we're going to have on the website. So we're going to have everything, like I said, from statues, toys, artwork, home accessories, things like that, kids' clothing, toys, action figures, video games, comic books, and also art books. How to, like this is a great book I showed on the show before, the Beginner's Guide to Digital Painting and Photoshopping Characters. So things like that are going to be seen on there, and we're going to constantly have a flux of new products coming on board. And here's just some of the brands that we're going to be carrying as well, like Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, Lego, Mattel, PlayStation, Xbox, Funko Pops, Hasbro. So many great brands that we're going to be including on here. There's even more that I'm just not showing you guys right now, but definitely wanted to touch on some of that today for our show. Also, as I did want to mention, we're going to have that series soon, Heroes Manufactured Creators Unleashed, which is coming out this summer. So we're looking at July. We're already in the summer, beginning of the summer, but towards the end of July, hopefully around Comic-Con, we're going to have that out. So I am going to introduce to you guys today Mr. Riley Weber, who's just going to pull him in right now. Hey, Riley, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Great. Yeah, I know. Like today's like our first official meeting, and I just prior to having you on the show, I was talking to you about that. Like, we've been chatting on Facebook for quite some time. Been a fan of your work. Some awesome work you're doing there. Love the fact that you've taken upon yourself to ink a lot more than like a lot of people draw and sketch, and one thing I really enjoyed about your process is that you really get into inking, and it's one of those things that if you're a true artist and you're a lover of comics and you love the work that's being put out there, I always find that inking is one of those things that you're just you sink yourself into. Am I right?
Yeah. It's actually like, I've had tons of people say I could never do that because it's like I don't have the patience for it. And for me, it's very like it's something like you said, I lose myself to it. It's fun. I like
Yeah.
it more than penciling because, I feel like you said, it's kind of like a trance. It's very relaxing. And I feel like it's the best of the art, it's like it's finishing it.
Yeah, and it's funny that like the one thing that I related to when I remember there was a comment you made to me once on Facebook on our message chat, but you mentioned someone I think said to you, "Oh, inkers they're like tracers."
Tracers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's you can't really look at it like that because it's an art in its own sense. And
Yeah.
I for example, I've met Joe Rubenstein quite a few times who worked on like the Infinity Gauntlet series for Marvel. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. He worked with Jim Starlin, all the big names out there, and to me, like he's an example of someone who got into inking as a profession and made a career out of it. Draws, sketches, does everything because you got to know that as well. But I feel like through inking, you also learn how to draw better. Am I right?
Oh yeah, and you learn how to pencil better too.
Yeah.
You pay attention to a lot more stuff like line weight. You pay attention a lot more to like lighting and shading and stuff. You're basically uplifting everything, and then how can I make it pop? How can I make it like just really differentiate from like everything kind of being flat to like it being in the foreground, the background, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
just rendering. I mean, is such a key to really understanding. The form of an object, the form of a character, whatever it is. That you're putting into light. Shading it in different ways, and sometimes it's simple because what I love about your work is you do a lot of black and white. You also do some color work that's just phenomenal. And what I like is to see is I really enjoy the black and white. You know what I mean? I do enjoy
Yeah,
that form that you've been doing a lot because it feels like you're really getting the hang and the hold of what you're rendering. So I mean it's pretty amazing. Now tell us a little bit about you if you don't mind, a little bit about kind of how you got into this, but also where you're from. You're based in the US, right?
yeah. I grew up in California, LA County.
Nice.
I was a classic California kid, and I moved a lot. I was always traveling. My mom was like, "Let's go to Arizona." You know,
where,
she
where where are you situated now?
I'm in Oregon, Eugene,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Nice.
It's like a small city. It feels like a town, but it's bigger than a town. I call it a little big city because it's a big like
You
it's
said you
it's the
said
second
Portland, right?
largest place in Oregon, but it's like it still feels kind of like everything's compacted. You could get around on a bike everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Now you said Portland, Oregon, or
Eugene, it's
Eugene. Okay.
just
How
like
how
three
far is that
hours
from
drive away
Portland?
from Portland.
Sorry, how long? How far?
3 hours.
3 hours. Okay. Nice, nice. And so that being said, I mean, tell us just a little bit about like your most recent work, what projects you're currently developing, just so I can kind of get into that with you as well.
Yeah, so I'm working on two comics at the same time. One of them is just for fun, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. I call it Sonic Tilt. That's the
Yeah.
name for it. And
And
then,
and this is the image here of Sonic Field,
yeah,
right?
I wanted it to feel a lot like Die Hard, or like every episode for Sonic Tilt is going to be its own condensed little action movie. And some of the episodes are a little short, like 6 pages or something like that. Some of them are a little longer, like 13 pages or whatever. It's however long the beats go, because I want it to feel like nonstop, because I feel like Sonic is kind of like a Bruce Willis kind of guy. He's a
Yeah.
cocky guy. He's kind of like a smart ass. If you took away like his current kind of thing, and you like looked at the character, like he fights robots all day, tons of explosions, like he's saving people, like it's an action movie. So that's what I wanted to go with for Sonic Tilt.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, hey, I'm a diehard fan as well, so
Yeah.
so definitely I get the Bruce Willis aspect of that whole diehard.
Oh yeah.
That's what it feels like to me at least.
Hey.
Yeah. And that being said, I mean, all that's inked with traditional inking. You're not doing any digital work.
I'm at my desk, so I keep all my tools at the ready. So I got this right here is a synthetic round 2.
Nice.
It's by Princeton, but as long as the quality is good, I don't care about the brand. I'm not loyal to a brand. But then,
Yeah. As long as I guess it gets the work done the way you want it to get.
and
Right?
then this is a G pen. If you look at the
Nice.
nib, it's got these little like things at the sides over here, and that splits it so that you have like a really varied line.
Yeah.
It's got a deleter holder, but the holder isn't really important. It's just the base, but the nib is really good, and you can get the nibs in packs. And I
Nice.
used to draw with these Copic multi-liner SPs.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Oh,
I use this one for borders. This is great for like using a ruler and like getting those straight lines that have to be perfect. But I got a set of these, like 9 of them for like all the lines and everything. I used to use nothing but these. But like I went to a convention. I was so excited. I'm like, look at my art. I'm
yeah.
so awesome. And I was so excited to show it off. And then they're like, where's the line variation? Like everyone said that. And I'm like, ooh.
No, I hear you. I hear you. And it's here's another. I just want to kind of get back into some of these, but this is another book that you mentioned that you're working on.
Yeah.
Rip the Falcon.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about this, because this is a really interesting, I mean, design of both the panels, but also the character. I mean, I love that one drawing. I've seen this a lot. The one on the far right, where you've got him kind of crouched down there with the crowd of people behind him. I mean, that's just like really dynamic. I really love the way you're playing with your characters. So tell us a little bit about this story and what inspired you.
Yeah, so this character has been in the making for like 12 years. In high school, he came out of like a final for my high school art class, and it was like the first actual art class I ever took. And he just kind of came out of me, and I wanted my own superhero, and I never wanted to do the spandex tights kind of stuff. I was never big into superheroes. I like Spawn, but he was kind of like a hell kind of guy. He wasn't really like Batman or anything. So like for me, my taste, I love animals, and the Falcon is very personal to me. It's like my favorite animal, and I relate to it. It's a very symbolic kind of animal for me. And so I ended up, for this project, I drew a falcon, and it really connected with me. And then I slowly over the years developed this character, kept working on it. I was saving him. It's been 12 years until now for me to finally create this character, like not create him, but give him, his own comic. And the comic is kind of a strange one. It's about wandering. It's about exploring a world that's kind of harsh, and just trying to find justice in a world that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my own take on life. And the character is very similar to myself, but he has a life of his own. But
no, it looks amazing. I mean, I'm down for it. I can't wait to see the whole thing.
awesome.
Complete. So and so you like, how did you get into this? Like, did you do some schooling around this? And then
Well, I was always self-taught, and I
Nice.
was very much a fan of like Greg Capullo and Todd McFarlane. I love detail. I was always just drawing like hair and blood and like.
And it's funny because I met them both and interviewed them both. They're in some ways very similar in personalities too. So it's funny that you relate to them, because they've got this very like I don't know. Greg Capullo is Italian. I actually don't know if McFarlane, but he feels like he's Italian just by like
Yeah, yeah.
he's got that like street smart personality, right? And he's Canadian as well, which is it's funny because a lot of artists I find. I mean, this is a Canadian show, so we always like to kind of wear our flag, but there's
Right.
a lot of Canadian American relations with regards to the comic book industry and just North America in general is really like kicking butt when it comes to putting out comic books. I mean, a lot of the major books out there are printed in Montreal, right? So Marvel, DC for years have been printing books out of Montreal, and now in Toronto a lot as well. So I mean, it's just nice to see. Like I've got to explore a lot in the U.S. myself, and just to see how these artists, like the ones that you're talking about, and being inspired by them. It's nice to see like an American get inspired by a Canadian from time to time. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, like, I love Todd's just absolute personality. He's the Quentin Tarantino of comics.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you can't deny the guy has an ego.
Oh yeah. He does. But you know what? When
Hate
you
him,
get
but one way or another, he's Todd.
yeah,
And I gotta admire that
yeah,
because
you're gonna love our first season of this new show because we have like a full interview with him in New York Comic Con. Yeah, we met with him for about 20-30 minutes. We sat down with the guy. He was such an easy guy to talk to. He was so like especially with his fans, he's amazing. Like I saw him at San Diego. I took a few pictures with him there. I met with him in New York, and guy was just such a nice guy to talk to. He was so easy about it. And he even does his own videos online. I've noticed where he's teaching people.
he
He's
doesn't
really
want
getting
to.
in. So if anyone out there's wanting to get more about Todd, then definitely check him out. The one other thing that I see here, this is some really cool work you've done, and that's the Nerado character, right?
Yeah, so that was a piece I did for a friend, and he wanted me to draw anime, and I'm a big fan of Western art. I'm not the biggest anime fan. I like some, but I wouldn't call myself an anime guy. But he wanted me to do Naruto, and so I did my homework, and I looked at what the style was, and there was a drawing he wanted me to replicate. So I just I broke down the shapes. It wasn't something that I wasn't able to do because in the end of the day, I think any good cartoonist can draw anything, and it was just a style, but it was a fun piece because I got to use a lot of color, and you're right, color is great. I
And that,
got
that, that image on the left there, that's a. I mean, you have a very unique art style. There's no doubt about it.
I got a story about that one.
Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, that I got tattooed by this guy Joshua Hood. He's the best tattooer I've ever met, and he has a bathroom that's dedicated to Bill Murray.
Yeah, wow, yeah, I can see that.
And he has the bathroom of Bill Murray, and so he challenged me. He's like, I want you to make me a Bill Murray, and I wasn't really as good as I am today, and this is 2017, so I'm really pushing myself that year, and I finally felt confident to give it a shot, and I just I used a brush for the first time on this one. Like if you see those lines, they're kind of thick and they taper and stuff. I used watercolor and colored pencils together. I had these like Prismacolor watercolor pencils, and I would blend them together.
Nice.
And it was just like the first time I really pushed for like a commission.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me into like this. Like you've been doing quite a few commissions now. I mean, here's some that you showed me you've done in the past, some more recently. But tell us a bit about these as well.
Yeah. So both of them I did for friends, and I had a pretty low rate, and I got these done in my G pen and synthetic brush, and I like simple rate, black and white, $30, and the one on the left over there. He was wanting to do his character and kind of like a Cthulhu thing, and that was a lot of fun. And then
It looks almost like Norman Reedus. Instead of
oh
killing
yeah,
zombies,
I
he's
could
killing,
see that totally.
yeah.
Like
Instead of killing zombies, he's killing cockroaches or something. Am I right?
going for this like eldritch kind of Aleister Crowley kind of character. Like everything is like super like bloodborne and things like that.
Yeah.
It was a fun piece because he knows I love monsters and I love like gritty stuff, and both of those commissions were fun to do because they dealt with like horror and occult, and I love both of those stuff. So both of them were a lot of fun to do, and I got to put a lot of black on the page, and I love doing that, so that was fun.
And then here's the like this stuff I really like, a very surreal type of work, and I'm a big fan of surrealist work. So I mean it's kind of outside the comic book realm, but still feels very comic-y because of the way you're penciling and inking. So tell us a little bit about this piece as well.
Yeah, so this is the style that became my own style. Like, you know how artists develop and they eventually find their voice and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Well, this is what happened. I've been drawing all kinds of different styles. I studied like Osamu Tezuka and Ben Templesmith, and I started with Spawn, Todd McFarlane, and Greg Capullo. That was my starting point. But like eventually I mished everything together, and I studied a lot of horror like Junji Ito and Ben Templesmith and stuff. And then I also studied clouds. Like I drew nothing but clouds and water for like a year. And so I was really attracted to like wavy lines and like the way everything just kind of floats together. And so like each of these drawings over here is just me having fun with shapes and lines and eyes and
a lot of contouring as well. I see like that's definitely a big motif there. I see with the style.
Repetition. That's the main thing I think I can say about both of these and my style in general. I find that you find shapes within doing the same line over and over, and you just kind of get into this mode. It's like the music of Tool. It's a very trance-like kind of band, and you just get lost in it, and that's kind of the style I made.
No doubt. I mean, you can very, very much see that in your work, and definitely admire that. And then there's this last piece I have here. This is like where you're really pushing surrealism, and it has a bit of that formality you had in those last images. And I mean, I'm just gonna go back to that last image for a sec to show that same kind of similar surrealist perspective. Yet this feels even more, more out there. I mean,
yeah, that was a commission. I did a lot of work for this dispensary that just opened up called Tracktown Collective in Glenwood area of Eugene, Oregon.
Great. This is a painting, right?
Yeah, this is a full-size painting. I forget the dimensions, but it was a large painting. And this was like, a straight up painting. And, I really wanted to push it. So, it was for a dispensary, and he asked for something different. He wanted something like just go nuts. And so, I just kind of like, I really thought about it, and this is what came out, and I wanted to just really make it like something that I could stare at. And
oh, for sure. I mean, and the one thing I love about this already, I mean, there's a lot of juxtaposition between like kind of just the two sides, right? It looks like a very corporate industry kind of world on one end, and a very natural, organic world on the other end.
Yeah.
This guy's kind of stuck in between them. So I mean, there's definitely a story there already, right?
I don't mean to explain, like, I feel like the eye is in the beholder, but to me, like, we're plugged into nature, and then the machine is trying to plug us out. And so, you know, I also feel like we all have like a little man inside of our brains, you know, who's
Yeah.
just like, and Men in Black, just like
Men,
pulling the
I was
gear.
gonna say it's either Men in Black or The Matrix, right? One of
Oh yeah, both, I guess. I mean, both were great science fiction, but like, you know, my uncle, he bought this as soon as I made it, and like a print and stuff. And you know, he's like, this means something. Like he's sharing all his friends, like this means something.
Yeah, no, it definitely. Listen, man, I like what I love about your work, and I have to say, again, it's the fact that you're doing comic books, but you're also you're also creating art. And that's where it's nice to bring someone like you on the show where you can show that it like comic book form is art, right? Like to go from something like this, and then move over to something like this is it's quite engaging in that sense. And I mean, you've got Sonic Tilt as well, which is amazing. So I mean, you're doing all these things, and I mean, awesome work for sure, Riley. And the one thing I want to kind of get into with you as well is, are you developing any other projects like in the upcoming future? Are you doing anything new?
Yeah, right now I'm just trying to finish both issues for Sonic Tilt and Rip the Falcon. Sonic Tilt is like 2 pages away from being issue 1, which is really exciting because the stories are generally about like, you know, anywhere from like 12 to 16 pages, but Rip the Falcon, it might be 32. Like it's a big first story. It's like its
Nice.
own mini graphic novel, but you know, I'm just trying to get those two done. But I have a lot other characters and a lot of others comics I want planned. There's a few characters that I'm thinking about bringing out. I want to try my hand at humor, and I'm a big fan
Nice.
of like underground comics. And I have a character that's a lot like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto.
Nice.
Am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah, by all means.
Fuck, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a great character. I
yeah.
love GTA. I mean, I haven't played it in years, but I love the game either way, and can't
I,
wait for the next one, whenever that's gonna come out.
I'm just gonna warn people. It's meant to be satire. Don't take it seriously. The whole thing is just a rampage from Grand Theft Auto. So that's a character, and then I have another character that's a very retro wave '80s style character. He's like John Carpenter, and you know, just classic like neon lit like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. That character. His name is John, and it's called Night Rider. That's or not Night Driver. Night Driver.
Driver, nice. And that being said, I mean, so are you self-publishing these right now? Like, is this something
Yeah.
you're going to put out there in shops, local shops, or?
So I'm looking into online for like marketing and stuff, but
Nice, yeah.
the way I'm gonna the avenue I'm going for in my mind is I've worked with a copy shop locally,
Nice.
and they're great. They're really good at what they do, and they're cheap. And so I'm going to make physical copies in small runs over there. They're going to be my main printer and make like floppy comics and sell them at Epic Seconds, my record store.
Nice.
You know, on an online scale, I'm looking into Store Envy, and I have a store, storeenvy.com/tickinc, and that's gonna
Yeah, it's right there on the bottom too, guys. If anyone wants to check out some of your work, I know you have a YouTube channel as well where you're doing some of your own videos on there. You're kind of doing tutorials on how you create some of the pages and the artwork. Is that right?
Yeah, so I started a little YouTube series called Comic Sessions, and
Nice.
for like 2 solid months, I would just show you the process of finishing a page until it's done. So I would set up my tripod right about here and just point it at the desk and just go to work. And one thing that was a lot of fun about that show was picking the music.
Yeah.
I found a lot of music I never really listened to by just typing in stuff that I thought would be fun to listen to, and watching the video. It's almost like you want to listen to the music in the background, but then you want to watch the video, and so it's a lot of fun to just kind of do both. And I have a lot of other videos. It's kind of like a variety. I do like comic reviews and beer reviews, and I talk about video games and a
Nice.
couple of skits. So it's a fun YouTube channel.
Well, listen, no, for sure. It's good to be involved in that sense. And one other thing I just wanted to kind of ask you, I mean, for someone like you, I mean, you're definitely into a lot of the sequential storytelling lately, from what I've seen, also you posting online. For someone like me, for example, I like to draw a lot of cover work. I like to draw conceptual work, but I haven't delved fully into comic book pages, sequential pages. What do you recommend? Maybe some advice for someone who's trying to break into the sequential part of storytelling and also creating the work, because it does take longer. You're working with bigger pages. You're working with, either it's 11 by 17 type pages, or larger, or or smaller. Like what is it that you really recommend for an up and coming artist or someone trying to break in order to to get involved with some of these page in sequentials that you're doing?
Watch movies. Watch movies and look at it like a director. Think about how to tell a story like a director. Don't think about it like a comic book, because, when I was a kid, I was like every other kid, in school, like comics. Those are for kids. Those are like that's just stupid. But then when I started drawing comics, because my friend got me into drawing comics, I realized you could do anything with them, and it's basically like you are creating a movie. So it's good to study how people draw and how people like look at a comic, like how to tell a story. But I think, in my personal opinion, I learned the most how to make like good panels and good like shots and stuff by watching good movies and thinking about how to direct. So, like if you think about it, comics is just like one big storyboard, and you could just do any kind of crazy camera shot. So,
Yeah,
study directors, study artists, study from life, play a video game, and think about where the video game is. Like, feed your brain tons of stuff, read, and just constantly think visually. Like, how would I put this in the camera, and just just study visual storytelling.
for
That's what I
sure,
would
for
say.
sure. I mean, I agree with you, because I come from a film background myself. I mean, I went to film school. I went to an art school that had a film program in it. So, get great one, by the way. If anyone wants to check out, here in Canada, Ontario College of Art and Design, they have a great film, TV type of program, but also they teach you the art. And I feel like there's always, people used to think TV media is just media, right? It's not art, it's just media. But if anything, the more I over the years, I see the relationship between news related work, or film related work, comic book related work, illustration, whatnot. It's all interconnected in many ways, and if you use that, definitely, I hands down, applaud you for that. So awesome. One last kind of question I know you mentioned to me also, you're getting into some animation, online animation that you're looking to put out on like Vimeo and some other streams there. And you're mentioning you use a Clip Studio Paint,
Yeah.
and some other like software. So tell me a little bit about that, and how what you're doing with that.
So, I got really excited about wanting to do my own TV show, and I found that you with the internet, you could kind of be your own little black flag. You could fly your own ship and do whatever you want, and you could realistically make your own TV show for yourself, on online. And so that's what I started playing around with in about February. And I first started with paper, but eventually moved on to Clip Studio Paint EX and the full version. That's in my opinion the best value, the best deal for animation. And I'm looking into alternatives for YouTube just because of censorship and overall just longevity of the platform. But
Nice.
I am really interested in making both comics, but also I'm like I said, I feel like I want to direct, and I really want to make that kind of full motion kind of stuff.
Oh,
And
of course.
yeah, I love action. I love like dynamic kind of stuff. So yeah, I also use a lot of Discord servers.
Yeah, which
The
we've been on
name
together on that.
there's this one server that I've been on that is fantastic. The name is a little bad, but it's a great server. It's called Animation Plantation on Discord. You can look it up on Google. That place is great if you're looking to improve your art and get good feedback. That's where I got a lot of help on animating.
And you get a lot of commissions on Discord as well, right? You were mentioning.
Yeah. So I'm on a couple of Discords, like starting artists, and I have my own Discord called Tick Central, and
Nice.
I just I'm annoying. I post my stuff so much, people eventually hire me. So that's the wheel. That's the deal.
Well, listen, thanks for coming on to our show today, Riley. Another great American artist we brought on board. So I mean, we're gonna have a lot more Americans on here as well. We would like to get a lot more. I've already been setting that up for this season and for next season. So yeah, representing and listen, you got some amazing work. Would love to see you see more of your work. Feel free to post more on Facebook there, Riley. So we could all check you out. And guys, check out Riley's work. He's got his Instagram there, Facebook, YouTube channel, and yeah, I mean your storeenvy.com. That's awesome. So yeah, thanks again. And guys, I want to say please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, feel free to add yourself onto our Facebook group for more for more amazing work from guys like Riley. And yeah. Thanks again, Riley. Have a good one. And
All right.
thanks
Have a
for
good one.
coming out.